You're listening to the Fast F1 podcast. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast F1 podcast with me, Danny Kane.
And I'm Eddie Medio Kane.
And today we're reviewing the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix, which was the best race ever.
Yes.
Well, it was okay. The end of it was exciting. Yeah. All right,
Very.
As we always do, we'll start out with a bit of news. What's been happening in the Formula One world?
The calendar has been released. Finally. It took them long enough.
For the 2026
Yes.
season. Yeah. Anything notable about the 2026 season?
Imola's finally gone. I'm happy about that. And then Madrid is on the calendar. And I was actually right. Well, almost right. About what the name would be for the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalonia, which would be the Barcelona-Catalunya Grand Prix.
That's what they're naming the race next year instead of the Spanish Grand Prix.
Yes.
Because the Spanish Grand Prix will be the one at Madrid? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting. What else? You said something happened in Formula Academy. Formula One Academy.
It was a very good weekend at F1 Academy. Last time that they raced was in Miami. They had their second race canceled because of the rain.
Mm-hmm.
So they added a third race, which I don't know why they didn't do that for Formula 2 in Melbourne. Because they had the first race, they had the qualifying, but then they just canceled the race, but they didn't substitute it.
Yeah, I don't know. It must be a scheduling issue.
Yeah. I also don't know why they gave the pole sitter for the second race, Chloe Chambers, the points for pole position, along with getting another set of points for pole position for the third race that they substituted. So she basically got an extra point or two.
Did they have to qualify both times?
No.
Oh, that's weird.
I know. I don't understand it.
Okay.
But, and then other than that, Vegas has got another contract for, I think, 2 years. Which is a little annoying to me because I'm not a fan of all of these American races.
It doesn't surprise me too much.
Even though I'm an American.
It doesn't surprise me too much that they would, just because, they put a lot of money into that circuit and everything, and it still is a track that attracts a lot of attention around the world. Anyway, other news is that Luca De Meo, the CEO of Renault Group, has resigned, which kind of it just is more turmoil in the Alpine F1 team and the Renault Group as a whole.
This one kind of makes sense to me, though, because Renault won't be around next year.
Yeah, I mean, Renault as a car company obviously still exists.
Yeah, they own
Alpine. Alpine has had a series of high-profile resignations over the past few years, or just firings,
or a lot of resignations in general.
Yeah, it's clearly an unstable place to be, apparently. So
yeah, it's been for a very long time.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised because obviously we know that Renault is no longer going to be a part of Alpine, and Mercedes is, and Mercedes doesn't have anything to do with Alpine in general.
Yeah, well, you mean Mercedes is going to be providing the Alpine engines?
Yeah, and I know it's kind of like that sort of thing where it's like, oh, well, Toyota's got Haas now, which means in the next few years Toyota could replace Haas. It's not anything like that. It is, but not that Toyota would replace Haas. It wouldn't. As far as I know.
We'll have to see. I mean, that's a completely different deal. That's a technical partnership between Haas and Toyota, where Haas is bringing technical expertise to Toyota, but the same applies the other way. That Toyota, the racing group, was it Toyota Gazoo or something like that?
Toyota Gazoo Racing, yes.
Yeah, they're bringing their own technical expertise to the F1 team. So,
and speaking of Toyota Gazoo Racing, high-tech Toyota Gazoo Racing, the Formula 2 team, if Mercedes had the chance, they could rebrand Alpine as that name. for high tech.
Why would Mercedes be interested in that?
Well, because again, they don't have anything to do with Alpine. They're
They're
may
going to be selling engines.
They
to
will
them.
be supplying engines, but they don't have anything to do with Alpine as a company.
That's true. Yeah. So we'll move on to the Canadian Grand Prix then. Anything to speak of in terms of practice?
I was about to shout something else out. I was like on the edge of my seat to say something that I really want to say later on. But practice, there was some there were no Ferraris hitting the barriers.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Not at all,
Just
huh?
forget that. Yeah,
There were a few.
There were a few moments.
There were a few people hitting different areas of the track. Leclerc went off at turn 3.
That
The
one
Wall
was
of Champions, there were few people made contact with that, light
Yeah.
contact. So
There was that one with Leclerc though was really interesting. I realized it too, and I think a lot of the other commentators did as well. That I don't think we've ever actually seen anybody clip the barrier on the outside when they're turning in.
yeah, he lost the car. Thought he could still make it around the corner, and then by the time he realized he couldn't, it was too late.
Yeah,
and
because
into the wall.
We've seen Vettel go wide there before, along with quite a few other drivers. Vettel famously, though. We've also seen, like, 2 years ago, Magnussen and De Vries. I think it was Magnussen, but it was definitely De Vries. Magnussen and De Vries, I think De Vries locked up and forced Magnussen and himself to the runoff area right around that barrier, but I don't think we've ever seen anybody clip it.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing too extraordinary in practice to speak of.
Yeah.
In qualifying, the two there were a few things that were notable. Lando Norris only made it up to 7th,
Yeah.
which he made a mistake in his last qualifying in Q3. Made a mistake on his first run, then he made a mistake on his second run, and somewhere in there, his team principal or his engineer is telling him, I should say, that to not be pushing the braking zone so hard, not to wait so long into the braking zone, and given what happened in the race, which we'll get to. It just shows, I think, that he's trying a little bit too hard these days,
and it makes sense. It kind of shows how desperate he is for the championship.
Yeah, and you can understand him being desperate for the championship, but he needs to tone it down a little bit because he's starting to cost himself by pushing too hard.
Well, he needs to tone it down a lot. This is for a championship.
Well, yeah. So,
but other things in qualifying, I believe Sainz actually started around last place because he was knocked out in Q1. I don't know if he started last. I can't remember, but he was impeded pretty heavily by Isaac Hadjar.
Yeah. So that Hadjar and then Hulkenberg
And
qualified in 12th, I believe.
Yeah.
And
I think Hadjar just missed out on I think he just missed out on Q3.
Yeah. So those were kind of the notable performances in qualifying. The other part of it was that Oscar Piastri only starting in 3rd, with Russell in pole position and Verstappen alongside him in the second row.
Yeah.
Or in the first row, I should say.
So McLaren 3rd, 7th.
Yeah, so McLaren 3rd and 7th to start. And then in the race, that quickly became 4th and 7th at the start. When Antonelli went around the outside of
The championship
inside,
leader on the outside of turn 1. What an amazing move, obviously, because it's Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, so Antonelli made a good move on the first lap and then was genuinely on Russell's pace the whole race. Chased down Verstappen a couple of times. And I think if Red Bull hadn't been on top of the strategy like they were, and they were on top of strategy, I think that Antonelli probably would have gotten second. I think he did get past Verstappen at one point on track, didn't he?
I don't know. He was definitely fighting with him at one point.
He was
for sure.
He was certainly putting Max under pressure, but then
I think,
Red Bull pulled Max in.
Oh yeah, they kept pulling him into the pits.
Yeah, they
That's
undercut
right.
Antonelli twice.
Yeah. Well, they almost didn't once. They almost didn't.
Yeah, it was very close. The first
Very
stop,
close.
Antonelli actually came out ahead of him, but he couldn't. He hadn't gotten the tires fired up yet.
I actually
and so
called that.
Verstappen was able to get by him.
I actually called that because I was looking at the race map on the top right of the screen, and I was like, it's gonna be really close.
Yeah.
And then like 10 or 15 seconds later, they were exiting the pit lane, and Verstappen was going into the first turn. I was like, oh, it's gonna be really close.
Yeah. And then there wasn't a whole lot of action in terms of a lot of on-track passes or anything like that. Hulkenberg made a double overtake at one point.
He did.
I don't remember who it was. I think it was Albon and somebody else.
It was Albon who went off, and I think it was Colapinto.
Yeah, they were squabbling over position and slowed each other down, and Hulkenberg just swooped in and went right past both of them, so that was good for him.
Yeah, Albon,
another points finish for Hulkenberg.
Yeah, another point. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as much as I love Colapinto, and I would really want to see him in a better team, that was all on him. That really was. He forced Albon very wide, and I'm not the biggest fan of Albon. He's all right, but it was definitely on Colapinto. He went very deep. He did manage to keep it on the track, but Albon was forced pretty wide, and none of us could tell, but I'm almost certain that he had pretty major floor damage.
The other person with damage in the race was Lewis Hamilton. After he hit a groundhog, lost something like 20 points of downforce.
And the thing is, that I do need to comment on more than anything else.
Okay.
Except for something I really want to talk about in the moment. I was saying to you, I remember this. I said this to you the day before when I was watching the first two F1 Academy races about how I saw, and the commentators saw at one point, there were like 2 groundhogs right before the final chicane. And I was like, after they said that, I was like fixated on those groundhogs. I was like, please don't get hit. The next day, Hamilton said he had damage. I didn't know from what. It took me a week later to find out that he actually hit the groundhog.
Yeah, they did say it after the race that's what it was. During the race, we only knew that he had damage, but we didn't know what it was from.
It makes sense that they didn't say it until after the race, though.
Yeah, I guess, and Lewis Hamilton himself was pretty horrified to find out that that's what it was that he had hit, because he didn't know, it sounds like, either. So that cost him. Yeah, he didn't know.
Oh, they should have told him that.
Well, he knew he had damage, but they didn't tell him why at the time.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So, yeah, so that certainly cost Hamilton a lot of pace during the race. And he ended up having a pretty lonely race, kind of nobody in front of him, nobody behind him to battle with or anything like that, which I suppose nobody behind him is okay. But
yeah.
But
especially when you're in this god-awful Ferrari.
Yeah, the Ferraris were struggling for sure. And somebody who was not struggling for pace in the race was Lando Norris. He was... Throughout the race, he was popping in with fastest laps, and he was I should say quickly, but he was slowly pulling himself toward the podium positions, right? So with about 10 laps to go, Piastri had closed up to Antonelli for the last spot on the podium, but at the same time,
Norris... It was a heck of a fight.
Yep, but at the same time, Norris had pulled up to the back of Piastri, and the three of them started battling for that final spot on the podium.
And every now and then we'd see Verstappen and Russell and even Leclerc at some points get really close to them as well.
Yeah, there was not a whole lot separating them. Norris was pretty consistently the fastest car on track. But when it came time to actually trying to pass his teammate, he made a really good move into the hairpin.
He did. Until
Piastri got him back.
Yeah, because he went a little bit too deep.
He did. I mean, that's a hard move to pull off.
It is.
Piastri played it right. I mean, they both did.
It was a great switchback.
Norris got him by surprise, but Piastri did the over-under and was able to get back by him.
And then myself, along with, I bet, another maybe 25% of all the people watching the race, as they were going down the straight side by side, we were all like, they're going to crash.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see Norris was braking as early as he did, because he was well ahead of Piastri going into the last chicane. But at the same time, he knew that he had compromised Piastri's line and that he would have a much better run out, and he did. And then when he actually went to try and pass on the main straight, he got it all wrong.
All wrong.
And
we finally, the first time we actually, and we've been asking this since like halfway through the point of the season.
No, you've been asking for
I've
it.
been asking it. But yeah, I've definitely been asking it. I've been wanting to see them battle side by side for so long, and they finally have, and it's turned out in chaos. And when it's the first time that they're battling, that actually causes a lot of tension between the drivers. And the thing is, I'm surprised how little tension there was.
Well, I'm not, because Piastri is a pretty cool customer anyways.
Yeah. So is Norris.
Well, Norris is, but Norris is a lot more emotional. I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and you can see that.
Yeah.
Whereas Piastri just doesn't seem flustered by anything.
Yeah.
And when it came time for that move down the straight, Norris, I think, like I was saying before, I think he was trying too hard. I think he expected that he would have a gap to go into on the left-hand side, and there was never a gap there. And he had the overspeed, though. He could have gone around the outside.
He could have.
Of turn one, because he would have had enough of an advantage going into turn one that he'd have been alongside and on the inside for turn two, and that's where the pass would have been completed. So a real bad mistake from Norris.
Yeah.
Which he admitted.
He admitted it like immediately.
Yeah, he admitted, and he apologized to the team and apologized to Piastri after the race as well. But you know,
it was,
in the end, it puts Piastri 22 points ahead in the championship.
I think it's actually a full win now.
It's 22 points between the two of them in the championship, so it's pretty close to a race win. But
and then Leclerc is now the fifth driver in the hundreds of points. Last season we only had 8.
Yeah.
We had 8, but it was over 150 from Perez. The top 7, I believe, were over 200.
Yeah.
At this point in the season, it's looking like it could be possible to see 7 of those drivers make it into the hundreds. Maybe 6 or 5 of them get into the 200s.
The driver of the race, though, easily George Russell. Started from pole, finished the race, comfortably controlled the race the whole time. Didn't lead every lap because of the different strategies that were going on, but
also
never looked in doubt the entire race. He'd always, the entire race, even whenever Max would get even up to about 2 seconds behind him or anything like that, never even looked like he'd ever get a sniff of Russell. And he controlled the race from start to finish, and a great 1-3 for Ferrari. Or not Ferrari, for Mercedes.
Antonelli on the podium. Let's go!
Antonelli gets his first podium. Yep.
I've been dying to say that.
So yeah, that was good. It was a good race for Mercedes. It was a really good race for Russell, and a well-deserved race win.
And well-deserved podium for Antonelli.
Yep.
No McLaren on the podium for the first time this season. That was only because before this race, there was only one time that one McLaren was not on the podium, and that was the first race.
I do think that if Norris hadn't caught Piastri when he did, Piastri would have gotten past Antonelli. He had caught him, and he definitely had the speed advantage on Antonelli at that point, but then he had to start looking behind him at Norris, and that cost him the chance at the podium.
Yeah. I think it was actually twice, because I think Norris actually scored a 4th place in Saudi.
This is the first time there was no McLaren on the podium.
This is the first time there was no McLaren on the podium.
Yeah. So let's look at our predictions for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Let's.
Going into this race, the scores were 15-4.
Until I found out something else.
Well, but you're talking about preseason predictions. Well,
yes.
I know what you're going to say about that. We're not going to talk about that because that's a different issue. But in terms of this season, our prediction score is 15-4.
Yes.
To me.
Yes.
And I think I extended my lead.
Yes.
Didn't I?
Annoyingly. Again!
We'll see. So for pole position, I had predicted Lewis Hamilton. You predicted
Lando Norris.
And it was
George Russell.
Fastest lap, I said Ocon. I don't know why I said Ocon. You said...
Why did I say Gabby Bortoletto?
And it was...
George Russell.
Are you sure about that? You've got it on the sheet as
It
George
was.
Russell.
It is the-
Did you look it up?
I did. It is George Russell's first hat trick.
I could have sworn that Lando Norris had the fastest lap.
Well, Norris didn't retire. Norris retired, didn't he?
That doesn't mean that he didn't get the fastest lap.
Well, let's check.
Let's check. Stand by for a moment. So it was George Russell that got the fastest lap. He got it on lap 63. How can that be?
That's a coincidence.
That is,
Because that's his racing number.
yeah, so Norris's fastest lap was on lap 65. It was slower than Russell's. 65, so I think it was the end of lap 65, beginning of lap 66 that Piastri and Norris crashed.
I doubt it.
Well,
I
it would
really
make
do.
sense because he would have had the DRS behind Piastri.
But he also braked really early.
Yeah, but he had quite a bit of tow behind Piastri. I don't know.
That's true. That's a good question.
Anyway, it was George Russell.
It was George
So-
Russell. First hat trick for George Russell. Well
Either
done.
way, neither of us got it right.
Yeah.
So for third place, we each went with,
Charles Leclerc.
and it was Kimi Antonelli.
Let's go, Kimmy!
For second place, you said,
Lando Norris.
and I said Max Verstappen, and it was
You were right.
Max Verstappen. So I got a
again.
point. And for the win, we each said Oscar Piastri. And since no McLarens were on the podium, I'd say that we both got that one wrong.
Indeed.
It was George Russell.
And
so for our
then-
one wild prediction, my prediction was that only 5 teams would finish in the points. That was wrong.
There were 7, if I'm correct.
Well, it was definitely wrong because you would need both McLarens to finish in the points, and
That's
Lando
true.
did not.
And then Hulkenberg finished in the points.
Yep.
I believe Gasly might have. I don't
I
remember.
think Alonso did as well.
Alonso did as well. There were a lot.
So I think it might have been 8 teams, actually.
I said McLaren did not lead the most laps. I had to check, but I was almost certain. And I got a point. The sigh of relief.
Yep. So 1 point for you. So we each got 1 point. So I didn't extend my lead, but we stayed even for that.
Indeed.
So now we'll move on to our predictions for the next race, which is in Austria.
Now, last year at the end of this race was amazing.
Yeah, very similar to Canada, actually.
Kind of, yeah.
Canada this year, where last year it was Norris and Verstappen running into each
and
other.
Russell took the win there, too.
And Russell took the win. Yeah, he inherited the win in that case.
Yeah, just like you did here. Well, no, he didn't inherit it here, but he still took the
He
win.
definitely controlled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So for pole position, you are thinking it's going to be
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen for pole, huh? So I'm going to
At the
say
Red Bull
Oscar
Ring.
Piastri.
Boring.
Well, I think Piastri is going to come back pretty strong at Austria, at least in terms of his pace.
Yeah.
For fastest lap, I'm going to say, though, it will be Max Verstappen.
And I am going to say Charles Leclerc.
Leclerc for fastest lap, huh?
Yes, and I've got a strategy with that.
Oh, well, you have a strategy, huh?
I'm going to stick a rocket on his car. I'm going to fly to Austria and stick a rocket on his car.
Well, who is your third place, then?
My third place will be George Russell.
George Russell going to follow up a win with another podium. And I'm going to say it'll be his teammate.
I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that.
Yep, Antonelli will get third place.
Back. Let's go.
So second place, though, I'm going to put Russell.
You're going to put Russell,
And it'll be another double Mercedes podium.
And I'm going to put Oscar Piastri.
Oh, and you're calling my Piastri prediction boring, huh? Who's your first
Really?
place?
Piastri's won more than any race.
Who's your first place?
Lando Norris. So I'm picking a different person for each one, and this is my strategy. Actually, no. I'll wait. I'll wait until you say your first place, and then I'll say my wild prediction.
I
which
was
I'll
also going to say
explain with.
Norris.
Of course you were.
So you notice, though, that no Piastri or Verstappen on the podium for either of us. Actually, no, you have Piastri on the podium.
I've got Piastri on the podium. I also set him for pole.
Okay.
So my crazy prediction, the reason why I went for Leclerc with the fastest lap, Max for pole, is because I feel like Verstappen will definitely cause an incident at some sort that could or could not, I don't know, if he will get a race ban. If I could predict 2 bonus predictions, I really would. But I can't.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Max Verstappen, George Russell, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri will all be separated by less than 2 points.
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Okay.
Well, I'll say at some point in the race. But the catch is, because I know you'll be like, well, duh, lap 1. I'll say
I
it
wouldn't
has
do that.
You know, you would. But I'll say it has to be after lap 10.
Okay, so sometime after lap 10, Verstappen, Russell, Norris, and Piastri will be separated by less than 2 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say that Verstappen and Piastri will have a similar battle and crash as Verstappen and Norris did in last year's race.
No way.
Yep.
Well, you've been cooking it this season, so
So
I really hope you're right.
I'm putting Piastri as pole, and I'm expecting that Verstappen will be right up there, and the two of them will be having a good battle.
So
And
we're
it
saying,
will end in tears for both of them again.
So we're gonna say that. Well, not both of them again.
Well, it'll end in tears again.
But it'll. So we're both saying that our pole sitter will have an incident, and will
Yeah,
will not
something like
stand
that.
on the podium.
Something like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have Piastri on pole, or I have Piastri on pole, and you have Verstappen on pole, and I'm saying that the two of them are going to hit each other.
That might not pay off because you
Or
also
something.
said Verstappen with the fastest lap, and if they hit each other.
Well,
Oh,
if they hit each other
no.
late in the race, Verstappen could still get fastest lap.
Maybe. Gonna wrap it up, I think.
Yep. So that'll do it for the Canadian Grand Prix, and we'll come back here and do this again after the Austrian Grand Prix. So this is the first of a doubleheader, right?
Yes.
So,
I'm excited for this one because this doubleheader last year was pretty darn good.
so this is not a sprint race at Austria. Is it a sprint race at
It is
Silverstone?
It is no longer a sprint race in Austria, which sucks because I love the Austrian sprint race, but it is a sprint race at Belgium.
Okay, so we've got to wait a while yet
Yes.
before the next sprint race.
I did also, before we go, I do want to say that I did find out something about the Belgium Grand Prix contract, which is we know it's going to be on a rotating deal, right?
Yeah.
So I found out, I forgot that there was something on Wikipedia about the French Grand Prix in 2023 nearly being able to host a race that year, and they didn't get to, but I believe Ben Sillingham was the person who said, who commentated on it, but, or who commented on it, but he said that it could return in the next coming years, and hopefully on a rotational deal. So Belgium, from what I found, it could look like that it might rotate with France.
Right. So 1 year we'd get the Belgian Grand Prix, the next year you'd get the French Grand Prix.
I hope so. That'd be pretty good, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
All
I
we
know
need-
a lot of people are not happy that Spa is not going to be on the calendar.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's such an original, but it's getting boring.
I've never really cared too much for Spa myself either. But
I say that.
I'm one of the few.
I say that the day that I've just seen a massive incident there in a different Formula Series.
Yeah, well, we shall see. But until
Indeed.
next time, I'm Danny Kane,
And I'm Eddie Medio Kane.
and this has been the Fast F1 Podcast. Fast F1 is produced by Danny Kane and Eddie Mediao Kane. All rights are reserved. Music is performed by Alex Zavessa. Thanks for listening.